Today we're going to be looking at issue 7 of the Power Ranger comic book, and oh my god, it's not too bad, but I preferred issue number 6 more.
Hey, this is Austin St. John, Jason, the original Red Ranger. You are listening to Airlim.
We open up with Billy in the Dark Dimension with a crack in his glasses and Goldar behind him, but he doesn't know this. But you kind of think that if you're in this Dark Dimension, you know that one of Rita's monsters, and you'd probably think Goldar because he lives there pretty much. But one thing is, if Billy can't see really on his glasses, then how can he see that Goldar's chained up? And it's really interesting that Goldar is chained, and Billy is kind of talking about it, going like, oh, you know, why are you chained? You know, you failed Rita a lot, you know, why is this different? And there's something different about Goldar. It's not the human, I will destroy Rita. This seems like he is depressed in some degree. He has failed, he's like, oh, and it's just something a little bit different than normal. I really liked the idea, and when I saw the cover, I wasn't quite sure what this story would have meant, or what would have happened. Why were the Zords attacking? But the Black Dragon walks into the to the holding bay of the Tyrannosaurus, and it literally turns him, just goes, nope, you're mine, you're waking up. And I really like the fact that you saw the Zord, like the bay, you never see this, and this obviously was underground. I just really like the fact that the T-Rex is just there looking forward, and then suddenly the dragon now takes him over. Now I kind of feel really bad for the putties, because the putties are kind of just falling over and they're making a new wall. You kind of think that they've got like clay things that they could fire. He literally just built a wall out of putties. So I can imagine when Zordon and Alpha come back, they've got a whole load of putties going, arr! So that was quite interesting. Rita's now sat on the throne. She's picked up Alpha's head, which again is very kind of weird and kind of dark to me. She's then turning around to Alpha and saying, hey, you know, you blindly followed this guy, you know, it's your fault, you're now like this. She then turns around and says, turn Alpha into a lamp, and that's it. So I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. Back in the pocket dimension with the others, with Trini is looking at the morpher, and they kind of figure out what is wrong with it. You know, why can't they morph? Why have their powers been cut off? You know, they can't figure out why. It's not the morphers, it's not them, because their energy is still running with the energy of the Power Rangers, of the morphing grid. They've been cut off, and that's kind of interesting. You know, if now that they figured out that, Rita could use this to advantage all the time. Tommy is looking over everything from what happened to the point of when it busted in, and he's the only one morphed. With this, you can see Tommy is kind of thinking about the fact that the way he's been acting, he wrongly went after Zack and Jason and just kind of was pig-headed about it, and to the point where he's saying like he's done this sort of stuff he should have seen, and Kimberly's kind of there condoling him, saying no, it's all fine, it's all fine. Tommy is now talking about making first impressions, and he's like, oh, I guess this wasn't the best first one, and Kimberly's like, well, you did try to kill us. That was the first one, and I kind of giggled at that part. And they start talking, and Tommy is the only one with his powers left. Kimberly acknowledges this. So Kimberly says, you've still got your powers. You can prove yourself to make another first impression. And I think at the end of this comic story, we're going to see a lot more kind of like redemption within Tommy, and Tommy's going to be okay with it, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, we're best buds now, Tommy. Rita now starts making an appearance and broadcasting around the entire world, saying that you have to, you have to give up your presidents, your kings, your diplomats, everything. You now belong to me. Surrender, or there could be a lot of destruction. One thing I would have changed with this one, she turns around and says, like, you know, the Power Rangers, they're not going to come. They're destroyed. And that's it, you know, there's no one going to come to save you at all, so don't even bother looking or wanting them. But also, hey, guess what? I have your Zords. And yeah, I kind of think, like, wouldn't say, they're destroyed, because, you know, they're going to come back. I would turn around and say, hey, you know, they're not here, then they won't coming back for a long time, if maybe never. But I loved this next part, and I really wish you could see the other Zords. But you have the Tyrannosaurus in Paris, and then you have the saber-toothed tiger, which I think is in Japan, and oh my god. So Rita is demanding that we have this back. We have all the people around the world kneeling in front of her, ready to serve her. So with much discussion from the Rangers, they want to see if they can find Billy. Can they find him? He's the only one that would make sense. Zordon or Alpha would as well, but they need Billy, and they're thinking, well, how do we get there? How do we get to the Dark Dimension, because that's where he's being held? You kind of think you should have more dimensions. Something like the Scorpion Dimension, or the Grey Dimension. I don't know. If you know a good dimension name, put it in the comments. And they talk about saying, like, there is a teleporting device that can get them on there straight to the moon. It's in the command center, so everyone's going to be down by the command center, kind of guarding it, as well as kind of more people down there. But the moon base is going to be empty. Woo! So, what are they going to do? It's the last panel on that one. It's just something like the way that Jason and Tommy are looking at each other, and suddenly it's like the dragons are just flying into space, and I was like, how? It's just like, you've used rocket hands, you've used to do it, that's awesome. And suddenly they're just on the moon, and that really made me smile. It's just the look, and then boom, they're on the moon. Jason says, hey, I always wondered if these Zords would work on outer space, or if they could travel in space. Jason is in the Dragon Zord, and he's telling Tommy that he knew that the Zords could go into space and they're space worthy, but it was just a theory. And then suddenly Putties are just like attacking the Dragon Zord, with the Dragon Zord then retaliating with missile hands, attacking the palace and just making damage everywhere. Tommy then hands over the Dragon Dagger to Jason, and obviously Jason's now controlling the Zord. As Tommy breaks into the palace, he's greeted by loads of different Putties, and suddenly Black Dragon is there waiting for him. Trini doesn't know what's happening, and she's doubting herself. We've seen this in multiple series of Power Rangers, and Trini will bounce back. She needs Billy. I think they make a great couple. And she's kind of really going like, oh, I shouldn't have sent Jason, about this. I don't know if we're going to get the Zords back. And suddenly Alpha's back on the screen, and they're really excited about this. The next panel shows that Jason's having a little bit of fun. He's firing the missiles, and he's like, rocket fingers, oh yeah! It's like he's never had this much fun. So obviously he's keeping everyone distracted while Tommy does his thing. Now we can see that the power of Black Dragon is really powerful, as he just knocks Tommy flying, and it kind of reminded me of like Iron Man just flying across. We've seen this similar into the previous issue, where the kind of unibeam, I think, or the kind of blast from Black Dragon just knocked Jason flying. Black Dragon knows that Jason's piloting it, and you kind of think of like, how does he know? Suddenly then the Black Dragon grows and starts attacking the Dragon Zord. The fight is pretty much over in a few blows, and the Dragon Zord is just left floating in space, and then just Jason is just there going, oh, just knocked out completely. And then something that I've always wanted, I never really thought, why don't the bad guys, when they're giant, just pick up the Rangers when they're in the on the floor and just either squish them, destroy them, or do whatever? We find out that that's what Black Dragon does at the end of the comic book. So then the comic ends right there, and I thought this was a really good story. I wasn't excited about this apart from the previous issue, where it was like, oh my god, this has never happened before. This comic book was really interesting. I like this continuation of the story, but it didn't keep me entertained. It didn't keep me wanting more within the pages. Now, every single time something like this has happened, I've wanted to read the next page straight away, that I couldn't just take it all in. I had to read it really quickly and move on to the next one. This isn't too bad for me, but I'm really looking forward to the next issue, and I still think this is a very strong comic going forward, and I think there's a lot more coming up. We know that at the very end that everyone's going to trust Tommy, and everyone's not going to be thinking another thing bad about him, and this is what I'm really looking forward to. I'm wondering how they're going to defeat him. Now that the Zords are taken over, now that the Rangers don't have their powers, or are they going to still fight? There's a lot of questions that are still there, and I really, really can't wait to find out. So Rangers, what did you think about this issue? Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know down below in the comments, and what would you change if you could have it? Would you have Jason and Tommy going, or would you have other things, or what plans would you have to distract Rita? Let me know down below in the comments, and if you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Check out Yeah Games, all that lovely goodness, and as always Rangers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.